Just now?
Yes.
And so you're thinking that last time you pressed it and it just didn't turn
I'm not
off.
saying that. I would assume that, but I'm not saying that. I'm just
I would
saying
assume
I did
that.
it. I did it right now and it didn't want to work.
Okay.
So could have been me, could have been the computer. I don't know. But we're good now. Let me pull up this paper.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm hyped for these games Sunday. All right, you ready?
Yeah, we're good.
Let's do it, man. Hello, and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. Got my co-host, producer extraordinaire. He's back in that title, folks. He pressed the button today. And my guy, Jody. What's up, Joe?
What's good, bro? We're back. We're running out of football. That's all I'm gonna say. We got 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Just finished college. It's a sad time, but it's good football ahead of us.
Well, it's bittersweet, right? Because this is like the games, the stakes don't get higher, right? They've never mattered more. But you're also and it's like you're whittling it down to the best possible teams, but you're also, knowing that you get less and less of them every week until it's just gone,
and then
it's out of our lives for 5 months. So
times.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet time. So I don't know about you, Joe. You're kind of hanging out in California out there.
Yeah.
But we're on winter storm warning.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
So
there's a dude I know that's in Atlanta. I was playing video games with him earlier, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll see if I got electricity over the weekend." And he said the same thing, that they're on storm watch.
Yeah. Most of the country on this winter storm watch, myself included, out here in West Texas. So just programming, or I don't know if it's a programming note. It's really just we're just going to give a shout out to everybody, and hey, make sure people, hope you're staying safe. Make sure your faucets are dripping, right? Make sure your heater's on.
Don't want
Make sure you check in, Yeah, you don't want on any of that stuff. So you make sure you take care of your stuff. We've been weatherproofing and getting ready for this weekend out here. We went to the store,
Any chance you go in that bunker you got in the back?
No, not a chance, dude. Not a chance. We're gonna stick it out inside. Hope it stays warm. Hope we don't lose power. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So we're coming on a Thursday night here. We got the divisional round the championship round this Sunday. But before we get there, we want to review how we got here. In the divisional matchups, Jody, you went 3-1.
Yes, well, we both did. So did you.
We both went 3-1 in different ways.
Games,
we both picked the Rams. We were good on that. Your one loss was the Texans. I picked the Patriots there. My one loss was the Bills. You picked the Broncos there, and then we both picked the Seahawks. So we both felt like Seahawks-Rams was inevitable in the NFC. We were right there. The AFC we thought was a true toss-up in both games. The way the games played out reflected that, and hence we ended up with Jared Stidham versus Drake May. But in review here, also last part of that, overall 5-5 in the playoffs for me, 7-3 for Jody. So folks, you may want to.
Hey, I could pick money lines. Don't look at my spreads though; those aren't good.
All right, so game one last weekend, final 33-30 Broncos. Why the Broncos won? Bo Nix made the big time throws exactly when he needed to. The Broncos won the turnover battle 5-1.
DWC.
And the biggest 50-50 call of the game went the Broncos' way. If that plays ruled a catch for Brandon Cooks, the Bills likely win the game, right? But instead it goes the other way. The Broncos did exactly what they needed to do to win the game and earn a home AFC championship game. Bo Nix is obviously, unfortunately, out, but we're going to discuss that, later down the road here when we get to the AFC championship. I really think this game came down to, at least for a lot of people, unfortunately, the major talking point coming out besides Bo Nix getting hurt at the end was the 50-50 ball with Cooks and McMillan. I think the best way I've seen this described, I sent this to you, Jody, right, on Twitter.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mitchell Schwartz, former offensive lineman turned current analyst. He kind of said it best, which is it looks like Cooks has it, right, as he's going to the ground and he possesses it. And so your question is, when he kind of rolls over on the ground, did the ground cause that to move? And let's say if that were the case, then yeah, it'd be incomplete. And because he didn't really have possession because the ground's causing it to his contact with the ground is causing it to bobble, then the defender gets possession and yeah, it's an interception. Or is that a matter of like he had it going to the ground and as he was rolling over, the defender just rips it from him? And so, was there enough there to say he had possession, or is that the defender ripping it from him? And then if that's the case, how do you sort of rule it? It's a very I think it's one of the closer calls I've seen. I will say I don't necessarily disagree with the outcome. I'm not like I don't think there's some people who are trying to say that it is just
where's the
blatant,
consistency in the NFL?
There's but the thing is, I think they've been like fairly consistent on some of this stuff. I just think if people are upset and they need something to be mad at for if you're a Bills fan or you're rooting for Josh Allen or whatever.
Overtime, they're not fans of it.
What I will say is like there's a case, Bills fans, to say it was a catch. There is a case. I don't think anyone who's saying, well, it was definitely this or definitely that is really like I think it was a true 50-50 call. They called it interception on the field. It's kind of tough to overturn.
Exactly.
They called it that way, and so that's how it ended up. And so it's unfortunate the game has kind of been boiled down to that one play because there was a lot of special plays by both teams throughout the game. Josh Allen said it afterwards. I think it came down to more than just that play for him in terms of some of the plays he made and didn't make.
That's football in general. Even through high school, people say that. They're like, we could have done this and this better to not be in this position. That's just anything. That's just
100%. And so, but all the credit to the Broncos. I really thought that the Bills, even though I kind of thought the Broncos had maybe more talent, I really felt like the Bills would just with the better quarterback would be able to prevail. Generally, in a lot of these games, I tend to defer to that quarterback in critical situations because those, most of the times, most of the time that guy's going to get it done, especially when that guy's Josh Allen and he's been a floor rate or he's raised his level of play in the playoffs generally until that game. So a ton of credit to the Broncos. I truly haven't been not that I'm a Broncos doubter by any means, but I never really quite hopped on the bandwagon for them. I never quite thought they would be in this moment, in this spot at the end of the season, and here they are. Again, obviously, we'll have to talk about the quarterback situation and going into that game, but huge credit to them. And Sean Payton, man, what a heck of a job he's done there in year 3 now. Very impressive. Jody, I know as a sort of former, current, reformed Bronco fan, you have any extra feelings about this game?
No, I thought it was a great game to watch. Like you said, I agree with the call that was made. It is a tough one to see, but the way I saw it, as I told you, looks like if the defender's not there and the ball pops out and hits the ground, that's incomplete. So I basically what you said with the tweet where the defender would have got possession if it was in the air,
Yep.
That's how I saw it too. Me and Johnny talked about it plenty during the game. And then tough for Bo Nix. Tough way to go out after this crazy season. 14-3, so we'll see what happens. It's Jarrett Stidham time.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that quite a bit here. Game 2, the snooze fest of the weekend. The Seahawks cruised to a 41-6 victory. Why they won? The game script was perfect for them, right? They returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Rashid Shaheed.
They earned a 4th down stop and created a takeaway on the first 2 defensive drives. And then they cashed in 10 points on those first 2 offensive drives. And you said Rashid Shaheed, man, I got to say, the job that he's been able to come in and do for the Seahawks, John Schneider, that guy, if he's, executive of the year, it's got to be in play for him. I mean, he hires, Mike McDonald 2 years ago. They make the move in this past offseason to go from, the Ryan Grubb at offense coordinator to Clint Kubiak. They bring in Darnold. They get rid of Geno. They let Metcalf go. They basically promote JSN to wide receiver 1. I mean, a lot of the moves they made, and then even in season, bringing in Shaheed at the trade deadline, dude, that the way this team is built, drafting Nick Imanwari, I mean, I have to give a ton of credit to John Schneider and then Mike McDonald for what they've done in building this team. I mean, and it showed Saturday. I mean, it was 17-0 before you could blink.
Quick.
And that just took all the pressure off of Sam Darnold. Remember, the thing we were worried about, it's like, Sam Darnold's oblique injury. Can he really, how's he going to feel? We know he's going to play. It didn't matter. You're up 17-0. And for the most part, Darnold looked okay. He didn't look unbothered, but he also, he made the throws he needed to make. I mean, their first touchdown on offense, he made a throw to the back of the end zone to JSN. That was a great throw on the move. He also took a sack, he took a hit, and he was fine. So their defense was absolutely dominant. The offense was able to run the ball well. They look like a juggernaut heading into the NFC Championship game at home.
Smoked them. Never a doubt. The Niners, I think that the injuries just caught up to them. We kind of talked about that last week, where it's like,
yep,
you made it this far. You're hoping for Fred Warner, but it's like there's only so much they can hang on to. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
I agree. Kyle Shanahan, we talked about the last couple podcasts. We talked about the job he's done. Phenomenal job to get them there, but they were just clearly too beat up to challenge a Seahawks team that is peaking right now and looks like the best team in the NFL. So, that was a snooze fest, truthfully. A credit to the Seahawks for making it that, but as a fan of good football, man, tough one to stick through because it got bad at the end there. We move on to game 3, Texans at Patriots. The Patriots got a dub, 28-16. Why they won? Drake May wasn't perfect, but he threw 3 absolutely beautiful
better than CJ Stroud.
passes.
We'll say that.
It wasn't hard to be that day. He threw 3 beautiful touchdown passes, and the Patriots defense was incredibly good, man. In a game that saw 8 total turnovers from both teams, the difference was the Patriots' ability to cash in one of their turnovers into a defensive touchdown, right?
Yeah.
CJ Stroud, he didn't play well at all. And Drake May was not great, but he was better than him for most of the game.
Very true.
The Patriots have just played incredible. They've played incredible defense for these first 2 playoff games, right? And they've allowed 19 total points in 2 playoff games. They're letting teams score less than 10 points a game in the playoffs right now, which is just incredible. It's special. Obviously, they're going to have to travel to Denver, and they're going to get to see a backup quarterback making his first start in 2 seasons. That is as good a shot as anyone could ask for to get to the Super Bowl. And for the Patriots to sort of get back to the Super Bowl under an entirely new regime, right?
Incredible.
On the flip side of that, if you're the Texans, incredibly disappointing. That defense, a lot of people were categorizing it as historic. I thought it was very good. I didn't know that I was ready to go like, the Giants in 11 or like the Ravens, early 2000s Ravens or anything like that. I wasn't quite there, but they were very good. What they did to Aaron Rodgers on Monday night the week before was impressive. Even what they did to Drake May for the most of this game was impressive. But CJ Stroud, man, it was not his day. It was why I picked. I mean, it's what I said on the pod. I just counted on Drake May to mess it up less than CJ Stroud, and that's exactly what happened, truthfully.
Yeah.
CJ he didn't protect the ball well at all.
Couldn't. And I thought the defense would, I think I might have said it last week, where I was like, I expect them to score or something, making it that much of a difference. Younger quarterback, I guess only by a year, but that D-line was going to get after him. Kind of happened.
They did.
But exactly. They did, but it wasn't. CJ Stroud was just giving the ball away like it was nothing. Like it's Halloween, bro. Just handing it out.
He was giving out candy. Man, and there was some harsh stuff said about him after the game. I don't think It's the kind of game where if you're the Texans, you have to reevaluate his standing as your franchise quarterback. But it might be the kind of game that allows you to say, like, we're not ready to give you the contract yet. And we're going to, I think that's fair, but I don't think it's something where they need to go looking this offseason and say we need another quarter. I think you gotta let this play out another year.
With that
he's been in the divisional round every year.
Yeah.
So yeah. Last game of the divisional round, Rams at Bears. The Rams pull away in overtime with a 20-17 win. Why the Rams won? They didn't turn the ball over. Right, that was the big thing. The Bears defense
won that battle.
We know they thrive on takeaways. The Rams didn't give them any, and the Rams won the turnover battle 3-0, and were awesome on fourth down. They were 1-1 on offense, and on defense, they got 3 out of 6 fourth down stops against the Bears. So winning the turnover battle, winning the fourth down battle, that's why they won the game. The Rams defense had their best performance by far since week 12 when they demolished the Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams were all clutch in the big moments when they needed them. None of those guys had a great day, but in the biggest moments of the game, they were clutch. The Rams escaped Chicago with a win. You can't say it any differently than that. They're going to have to be much better in the rubber match against Seattle in the NFC Championship, but they did. They escaped and they got the win and they did the things they needed to do. I think if you are a Rams fan out there, the encouraging thing you take away from that is, hey, man, the week before, you had to depend on the offense to go score 34 points to win a game. This week, it was the defense holding the other team to 17 points to win a game. So you're finding ways to win games in different ways. You're a complete team. Now you just like to see, can the offense play as well as it played, in, say, week 16 at Seattle, and the defense play as well as it just played up in Chicago? Can you put that together for 60 minutes? And that's the thing that Rams fans haven't seen since probably that week 12 game against the Buccaneers. So I think there's a lot more to talk about with the Rams and the Seahawks. I want to focus a little bit more on the Bears here.
That pass
Caleb
by
Williams.
Jesus.
That it wasn't even – I don't even know. A lot of people are like, he's the only quarterback who could make the play. I don't even know that that's true. I just know that
he's crazy enough to make the play. Running back 20 yards and just chucking it. Like,
I don't know that I've seen a guy run back to almost his own 50 from like the 15 and be able to make a throw where it also turned out like the guy was almost wide open on the back end of that throw. I mean, great. All you can say is great job and tip at the cap. And then, the Rams defense, obviously incredibly frustrating for as well as they played. You hold them to 10 points and they get 7 on what felt like a miracle, like that's insane.
Do you go for 2 there, or did they make the right call kicking the field goal?
Great question. All right. So here's what I will tell you my mental process was in watching the game as a fan.
We both thought it was going to overtime, me and Johnny, especially because they called it. I think Here's a Guy said it, and we were like, oh, yeah, I guess they probably would go for 2. And then they didn't, and we're like, well, going overtime.
And I'm going to give you 2 perspectives here. As a Rams fan and feeling like kind of, can I put myself in the shoes of that team? The emotional toll of we have been winning the game or tied, but feeling like sort of in control at the very least of the game for most of it, and at least for almost all of the fourth quarter, because they went on that big drive to start the fourth quarter to score and take over the lead and be winning 17-10 for most of the fourth quarter. To give up that touchdown in that moment on fourth down when a guy's running back away from his, towards his own goal line, away from the end zone, to then make that throw felt like the greatest gut punch. And so emotionally, the Rams were vulnerable in that moment where I was sitting there going, I hope they don't go for 2.
Yeah.
Because also, as a Rams fan and as a Rams player, you've seen that story before. You saw it in week 16 at Seattle, where it was like all or nothing on a 2-point play, and you gave it up and you lost the game on that. And again, and that was a game where even more than the Bears game, you felt like, man, we're going to win this thing. We've sort of been the better team for most of the game and then lost. And so this would be a similar situation, you do wonder how the players would have responded in that moment. The opposite perspective and why Ben Johnson said he didn't go for 2. We mentioned the Bears were 3 for 6 on 4th down. Most of those were 4th and shorts. He could not run the ball in goal line situations all night.
Yeah, they were getting stuffed.
It's tougher to throw in those goal line situations. We saw it. The Rams, the drive before, had gotten the Bears had like 1st and goal from the 5, and the Rams stopped them 4 plays in a row, whether they're running, throwing, whatever. So the Bears had struggled in goal line and short yardage situations all night. And it played a big factor in the 4th quarter because if you remember, to start the 4th quarter, the Bears had a 4th and 2 right around midfield, and they punted, thinking we'll pin the Rams. It's 10-10. We'll pin them. We'll get better field position on the back end. Our defense playing so well. And then they gave up the 91-yard touchdown drive, right? Instead of going forward up midfield and maybe retaining the possession, they were like, man, we just haven't had it in these situations tonight. We need to play to the strengths of our defense. And Ben Johnson said, similar deal there, right? You haven't been successful in those situations. It's not fair to your defense to say, man, you guys played so well all night. You kept us in it. And now in this moment, we're not going to rely on you guys in an overtime possession. We're just going to put it all on a one play from the 2-yard line where we haven't been successful all night on offense. And so I think from Ben Johnson's standpoint, he couldn't put his defense in that situation. And I think it makes sense, right? Based on how the game script had gone, kicking the extra point. Even with, if you're a rational person and you look at how the overtime went, the Bears got a 3-and-out to start the overtime. Yeah, their offense had the ball near midfield. All you got to do is go get 20 yards. You're kicking a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
And he would have been validated in not going for 2.
That's true.
And so I don't think he made the wrong decision just because the result says they lost. So I think ultimately, as a fan, I was relieved they didn't go for 2. But taking the emotion out of it and just thinking logically and putting myself in Ben Johnson's shoes on the Bears sideline, I think he made the right decision, even though the result didn't go their way.
Yeah.
We're going to break down some of that stuff when we talk about the NFC Championship game. We talk about the Rams defense, how they were able to get some of those stops. So we'll be talking more about some of those big plays in that Rams-Bears game. Before we get to the NFC and AFC championship matchups, we got to talk some head coaching carousel, right?
Yeah, a lot of dudes fired, a lot of dudes hired.
We haven't had a chance to talk about that yet on the show because we've been so focused on the playoffs. First things first, Sean McDermott fired on Monday after losing another divisional round game. The Bills ownership and their GM, Brandon Beane, who's now also the president of football operations, had a very weird press conference yesterday in which they kind of seemed to just like throw Sean McDermott under the bus for a lot of things. The owner also admitted like he made the decision, he hadn't considered it, and then he just made it based on the playoff game, which I just...
There's got to be more to it. There's no way. One game in the playoffs?
That's what he said. Decisions to me based solely on your emotional state in the moment are not generally good ones.
I was going to say, there had to have been some other factor that if he thought about it in an instant, it was like...
Now, the way he described it, I do understand. He said when he went through the locker room after the game, he looked at his team and there was just the emotion of that loss and multiple divisional round losses to that point, and or AFC Championship game losses to that point. He said it just looked like it had taken a toll on the team, and they were like in a rut. He said it felt like, man, this team is stuck and we're not getting over the hump. And so that's why he felt like it was appropriate to make a change. I understand that. I don't. Am I telling you Sean McDermott is like one of the 10 best coaches in the NFL? Maybe not, but I do think that he's done an admirable job in making that franchise respectable again, because before he got there, they were not good. So
you know what this is? This is literally just Mike Tomlin, but for the Bills at this point. Obviously, Mike Tomlin was there for 20 plus years compared to Sean McDermott, but it feels very similar if that's the case. You know what I mean? Like, they've made it to the playoff, divisional or AFC championship the last, 3-4 years at least. And it's like, you know what? Get them out of here. Not enough.
It's not the first team to make this decision. I think back to the Buccaneers in the early 2000s with Tony Dungy. They couldn't get over the hump. We all know how great a coach Tony Dungy is. They fire him. They bring in Gruden. They go to the Super Bowl, right? So
that's true.
It does sometimes the decision gets validated on the back end with the results that you're looking for. And then for Tony Dungy, he moves on to the Colts. He gets another job, and guess what? He wins the Super Bowl. So it worked out for everyone involved there. Maybe that's how it'll work out in this situation. The Bills need to move on and get a fresh face. And Sean McDermott maybe needs a new start. It is hard to be, the same voice in the same place with a similar group of guys for going on almost 10 years there. So I do think Sean McDermott will bounce back and get a job in this cycle. I think he'll be in another spot and he'll be all right. So we're going to talk hires now, right? We'll talk hires and then we'll talk openings. The biggest hire that happened over the weekend, John Harbaugh, officially hired with the Giants.
Yep.
He's a leader of men. He's going to bring great experience to the position there. He's going to bring some stability, which the Giants have not had basically since Tom Coughlin, right? I think this is an A- hire for the Giants. I think it's, one of my favorite hires of the cycle so far. It makes a ton of sense. He probably brings, he wants to bring Anthony Weaver and Todd Monken as his coordinators. If they don't get head coaching jobs, those would both be, I think, really good fits there with what they have already personnel-wise on offense and defense, the young group of players they've got. I'm excited. I think that's a great hire for the Giants. It makes a ton of sense. It's probably the best decision they could have made with what was available to them in this cycle. The Falcons.
I was going to say, do you think he would have gone elsewhere if he didn't get hired so quickly? Because there was the Bills after and like another team that came after.
Harbaugh talked about like the legacy in his press conference, and who knows, right? This could be him, like he's playing to the New York media. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I tend to believe Harbaugh's when they talk specific things, like they're kind of genuine guys. He's like talked about like the New York Football Giants and this franchise being one of the oldest franchises and wanting to coach a group like that. I kind of tend to believe him when he says that. I think it's the legacy of that. He knows if he wins in New York, it's going to mean something more than if he wins somewhere else. It's also the fact that it's like, hey, I look at it, I've got Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart and
Adabo when he's back and
Abdul Carter and I've got a group that I feel like I can win with here. So I think that was a big part of it. The Falcons, they hire Kevin Stefanski over the weekend. He's a 2-time Coach of the Year award winner. He's an offensive mind that you think has the best shot to get the best out of that group, that skill group that they've got there, especially Bijan. Stefanski loves to run the football and be creative that way, so he's going to get the most out of Bijan, I think. He's familiar with Kirk Cousins if that's the route they go and they keep him. We're obviously going to be kind of figuring out what do they do there. I don't know if Cousins is the plan because Penix can't stay healthy. Do you go back to Penix? Do you looking at drafting another guy? I mean, I don't know what they're
good at this next year. He was doing better towards the end of last year. The year before, he was still
finished,
coming off the injury.
He finished the season strong. It might be the kind of thing where you say, hey, we've got Cousins here. We know he fits with Stefanski. Let's roll this year and let's let Penix get healthy. And then when he's healthy, we reevaluate and we see if that's the guy or we move on from both of them after this season.
Yeah.
That will be the big thing there is what are they going to do with the quarterback? I think this is a B+ hire. Stefanski is not perfect. I do think it's interesting. He kept Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, on. I'm not a fan generally of the sort of forced marriage thing. I do think that always has a tendency to, it could end badly. It's not to say that Stefanski and Ulbrich maybe don't get along or that they aren't excited to work together. I'm not saying that. It just is always a little different when it's like, this guy was already here and I got hired as the head coach. And now instead of like choosing to bring a guy like Jim Schwartz from Cleveland with me, it's like, this guy and everyone likes him in the building. And all right, yeah, I'll keep him on. But like, is that really, none of us know, is that really what Stefanski wanted? It's, so we'll see. The next one, the Titans, or the Dolphins, I should say, hired Jeff Hafley officially on Monday. He comes from the Packers.
Okay, cool.
The Packers is their defensive coordinator. Obviously the Dolphins hired Eric Sullivan, who is working in the Packers front office, so he has familiarity with his new GM, so that makes sense. This was one that before this news was released, I was projecting because of the GM situation, and Hafley, we kind of felt like was going to get a job this cycle. So that made the most sense in terms of fit for him. He's been a head coach in college, right, at Boston College before he came to the league. Before that, he was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. So he's coached in different areas and levels of football. He did okay at Boston College. Boston College right now is not like necessarily the easiest place in the world to win. And he did really well in Green Bay as their defense coordinator the last couple of years. Managed a lot of different personalities, did some really good things. Their defense was really bad the year before he took over, and bringing him in, he kind of reaffirmed that Green Bay could be better on that side of the ball, and did that the last couple of years. So he does seem to be a completely different sort of model, voice, personality from what they just had with Mike McDaniel. So I think that's part of why they went this direction. I do like that, again, familiarity with the new GM. I am not skeptical. I think I need to see more from Hafley as a head coach, just because we don't really know, because Boston College wasn't we didn't get a lot from that. So I think it's a B- hire. I don't think it's something where Dolphins fans are jumping for joy, but I also don't think that I'm sitting here saying like, that's not a good hire. I don't think that. I just think that I'm not sure quite yet. I like what he did in Green Bay, though.
Yeah, I will say that's another team that has question marks at QB.
That's going to be the hardest thing there. Now, a lot of people are connecting dots, right? You've got two guys coming from Green Bay. What quarterback from Green Bay is going to be available in free agency?
Malik Willis?
So naturally, that's kind of a thing people are thinking about right now, especially if you're going to, probably cut Tua.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, our boy Bobby Saleh, Robert Saleh, hired by the Titans. He's been a head coach before. He's got a QB in place this time, right? With the Jets, he's kind of relying on Zach Wilson and then some patchwork other guys. He never quite had that. He's a leader of men. What he did this year, I think he should be the assistant coach of the year with what he was able to piecemeal patchwork together with that 49ers defense to get them to the divisional round. I just think incredible that he had them in play for the 1 seed when his two best defensive players, two guys who are all pro, like best guys at their position, Fred Warner and Bosa, and he didn't have either one of them for most of the year and still got that defense to play. I like this hire given all of that. I gave this one a B+. I think it's right there with Stefanski, the kind of coach who had some success in a previous spot, but also had some failures. And you're like, okay, it's a second chance. What are they going to do here? How is it going to look? There's some proof of concept, but we need to see more of it consistently. I think that's probably still true for the Titans. It's funny because I saw a lot of people saying with this hire, man, they just got, they were looking for a Mike Vrabel type.
That's what I was going to say, is Mike Vrabel Jr.
Well, it's hilarious because you're like, the Titans are looking at the Patriots. They're like, well, year 2 of Drake May, they bring in Vrabel, they flip some of the roster with free agency, bring in competent coordinators, and all of a sudden, look what they're doing. They're in the AFC Championship, and you're like, that's funny. You literally had Vrabel, but
yeah, true.
I guess I'm glad you got your new Vrabel. So I like that one. Like I said, it's a B+ right there, kind of with the Stefanski move. And then the most recent one that just happened today, this is written on here as a projection because it's what I thought would happen, and it's what happened.
Because it's when you said this one last time that you would assume
Jesse Minter to the Ravens. He's got that Ravens DNA. He's a great defensive mind. In truth, it's hilarious because if you connect some dots, right, I'll help you connect the dots and why I'm so familiar with Minter and McDonald, right? So both Minter and McDonald were in the Ravens organization working for John Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, right, when he was looking to kind of save his job at Michigan, was like, I need to revamp the defense. I need to fix this. John, you got anybody? Hey, here's Mike McDonald. 2021 Michigan, Mike McDonald is sick. Kills it. Revamps their whole defense. They beat Ohio State. They go to the playoff. They lose to Georgia, but man, great defense. Comes back around the next year. John Harbaugh needs a defensive coordinator. Jim's like, hey, your guy Mike, dude, he's sick. He's awesome. Here, take him back. Yeah. Now, who can you send me to replace him? And it's like, hey, here's this guy, Jesse Minter. Same kind of idea. Jesse Minter, he's at Michigan for 2 years. Sick. They win a national championship with his defense. Awesome, right? Jim is like, I'm going to go to L.A., Jesse, come with me. All right, cool. He's been there the last 2 years, right? The Ravens, you don't think the Ravens saw what happened with Mike McDonald leaving their building to go be the head coach in Seattle, and now he's got them in the NFC Championship? You don't think they said, you know what? Defense. We know Jesse Minter is a cut from the same cloth as Mike McDonald, because I'm going to tell you, you watch those 3 years of Michigan football, those defenses, 21, 22, 23, you wouldn't know the difference between who's coordinating it. And that's not to say like that Jesse's any better or worse or whatever than Mike, but they're just those two dudes cut from the same cloth, run a similar style scheme, do it in an efficient way, get their guys to play hard. So in my mind, the Ravens were always going to go this way because they wanted their own, they kind of wanted their own guy back in the building. They wanted to reap the benefits of that sort of defensive mastermind in the building. And the Ravens need to return to defensive football. I think that's a big part. Now for Jesse Minter, he's going to have to hire the right guy to run that offense with Lamar. But man, to me, this might be my favorite hire of the cycle. This hire, I think it's an A hire. It's right there. You know, I think I gave Harbaugh to the Giants an A-. I think I'm giving Minter to the Ravens an A. Because I think it makes the most sense. They're getting a young mind who's going to run that defense. I mean, imagine what he's going to do with Kyle Hamilton. I think this is a great, great hire for the Ravens. And now Jesse Minter just has to figure out who's going to run that offense for him. But man, great hire.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy. Obviously, he gave me his little background. I had something I wanted to say, but I'm not going to say it. I think it's too messed up. But I will give him some good luck in his endeavors as the new Ravens head coach.
Okay. Does Jody have beef with Jesse Minter that we don't know about or understand?
No, it was a dig at Michigan. I'm not gonna say.
Together. He was only good because you told the signs. All right.
I was gonna say, is he a Connor Stallions merchant?
No, come on. All right. So the remaining jobs that are open, along with my guess as to who gets that job, the Steelers. My guess there, Brian Flores. He's got some Steeler DNA. He's got the Tomlin endorsement. To me, it's so similar to why Jesse Minter is now the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Flores makes the most sense. I know he just signed a deal with the Vikings to go back as their DC, but when that was announced, it was still announced like as part of that, it's like he's still a candidate for the Ravens and Steelers jobs. So, and I think the Steelers job is his to lose, in my opinion. We'll see. The Raiders, my guess there is going to be Clint Kubiak, the Seahawks offensive coordinator. He's a young offensive mind who's done a great job there of turning around that offense from what it was a year ago. And you get to pair him with, Fernando Mendoza, the potential number one pick from Indiana at quarterback. And yeah, that's happening. And the only thing that keeps it from happening is if Mendoza does not declare, which is a thing I'm starting to see some rumbles about. But I think he's gonna go to the draft.
If you're that high of a draft pick, you might as well. You're not gonna. You don't want to.
And the only other thing too, with the Seahawks is I've heard, or anyway, I've read in some places that Brady likes him, and Brady's part of that hiring group. So the Cardinals. To me, it's kind of like the Giants. They need some stability. They need an adult. I think Sean McDermott is my guess there. He's a floor raiser. He's going to bring experience as a head coach with some stability. And then it becomes like, what are you going to do with Kyler? What's the deal there at quarterback? And McDermott will probably be able to help figure that out in a positive way. The Browns, I'm not feeling as good about this at this point. Seems like I said Mike McDaniel. He pulled himself out of the job interview yesterday, so I haven't updated this to reflect that. It looks like he's going to be the Chargers OC, which is a great gig for him. If I had to guess someone else right now off the top of my head, the guy I might go with here, if the Browns are crazy enough to do it and just go young, is Grant Udinski, the offensive coordinator from the Jaguars, who's like 30 years old. I could see him doing that. Or Nate Scheelhaase from the Rams, their passing game coordinator. I think they could do something like that. I'm just not really the Browns are sort of the hardest one to get. I feel like they want an offensive mind to kind of help fix their quarterback situation. So that was why Mike McDaniel was my original sort of thought. Udinski or Scheelhaase would also kind of fit into that mold. So we'll see. The Bills, last but not least here, are an intriguing job. They're, you've got Josh Allen, but you're also kind of looking at the ownership and GM right now and the power structure there and the way that they just did Sean McDermott. I do think you have to be kind of like, wait a minute, that seems a little weird. But here I'm going with Chris Shula, the Rams defensive coordinator. He's the best young option to get that defense right and help Josh Allen get to a Super Bowl. To me, that makes the most sense. So that's kind of where I'm at. Some other names just to keep an eye on, right? Mike McCarthy's getting interviews. Mike LaFleur, the Rams offensive coordinator. I mentioned Scheelhaase from the Rams, their passing game coordinator. Joe Brady, certainly in the mix for the Bills job from what it sounds like, the Bills OC. I mentioned Udinski from Jacksonville. Clay Kubiak, Clint's brother, who's the offensive coordinator for the 49ers. Anthony Weaver, previously the defensive coordinator in Miami. Todd Monken, previously the OC for the Ravens. Brian Daboll, the fired New York Giants head coach. Matt Nagy was getting a lot of buzz there for a little bit. And then Cliff Kingsbury, still kind of in the mix somewhere. He's probably going to end up being somebody's OC, but he's still kind of in the mix as a head coach. And then the last one is just, bonus Mike Tomlin, if he actually wants a job. But everything right now is saying he doesn't want it. He wants to take a year off. So he's probably not in play. But if he wanted one, he would have any one of the jobs that's open if he wants it. So those are some names to keep an eye on. Should be kind of what we're looking at in terms of who's going to get hired in this cycle.
Hey, send Mike Tomlin to Arizona. He could fix Kyler, and he could be warm over there. He's been in the cold for too long.
Here's the thing with the Arizona job and why I don't think a lot of people are looking to get that job.
Because of Kyler.
Sure. What's worse is you're in a division with Mike McDonald, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan. 3 of like the top 6 coaches in the league right now who are always going to have their teams ready to play. So like those divisional games, you're guaranteed 6 games against 6 of probably the best teams in the NFL every year. It's like, dude, that schedule's always going to suck. It's always going to be hard. You're always going to be fighting an uphill battle there. So that's something to consider when you're thinking about that job. And then, of course, the Kyler element, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jody, it's time. Let's get to these championship games, baby. Set the stage for me. AFC Championship.
We got Patriots visiting the Broncos. That's at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. We got Jim Nantz and Tony Romo on the call. Should be interesting. Hopefully Tony Romo don't go off the rails. We got a spread of Patriots at -5.5. The over-under sits at 41.5. And it looks like it's going to be 34 degrees. We got 60% chance of rain and 40% chance of snow. Does that mean collectively one of the two is going to happen? Or is that a separate probability?
Separate probability, I think. I'm not a weather guy. I'm not a meteorologist, but I think it's a separate. I think it's like, hey, 60% chance of
there's going to be rain,
precipitation, right?
And then if it's cold,
and then it's just about is it just cold enough for it to turn into snow or not? And that's the 40% snow, right? All right. So 3 major keys to this game. All right. Number 1, Drake May. His turnovers versus this Denver defense, right? Drake May has turned the ball over 5 times in 2 playoff games now. He's fumbled it 6 times. He's lost 3 of those, and he's also thrown 2 picks. Meanwhile, Denver has created 5 takeaways in their lone playoff game against Josh Allen. And people are asking if Denver has a chance in this game. Here's the chance, right? They can turn Drake May over with sack fumbles, punching the ball out when he scrambles, forcing him into poor decisions, and throwing the ball to them. If you're Drake May, your mindset going into this game has to be, don't be the reason the team loses. Take care of the football. Be okay tucking the ball, taking some sacks when you need to, right? Against the Texans, he held the ball, and then he exposed it, and they're getting that ball out. Yep. Sometimes it's like, hey, it's not there. I just need to eat this one and tuck it and protect the football, right? Or, hey, man, internal clock, get the ball out and throw it away, right?
True.
Denver's path to winning is by helping their offense with takeaways or defensive scores, right? Pat Surtain, Nick Bonino, Talanoa Hufanga, those are guys who create takeaways and can keep Denver in the game. All right, number 2, Denver's run game versus New England's run defense. Obviously, I think the Broncos will look to run the ball a little bit more against this New England defense, given their quarterback situation.
Yep.
Now, I don't think Sean Payton is just going to treat Jarrett Stidham like he can't throw the ball. I don't think we're going to see like an ultra-conservative game plan. But I do think one thing teams haven't been able to do against New England is run the ball, and that's part of why they've had so much success. So even if Bo Nix was starting, the Broncos would want to run the football against New England. The New England pass rush has just been teeing off against opposing quarterbacks in the playoffs. Secondary has taken advantage of that. The Pats have 4 interceptions, 1 interception turned into a touchdown, and 9 sacks in the playoff games, and their 2 playoff wins. And the common denominator in those 2 games is the Patriots have been stopping the run and thus forcing opposing quarterbacks into more must-pass situations. And that's when you've seen their pass rush heats up in the 4th quarter, when they know we're playing with the lead and you can't run it and you haven't been able to run it, and we know you're just in drop-back pass. So for Denver, they have to establish like that they can run the football. They don't necessarily have to like do it all the time, but they have to show that they have to prove they can do it with RJ Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin, maybe even J.K. Dobbins. His practice window was open this week, right? Coming back off the IR, he may play. They ran the ball just 22 times for 70 yards against the Bills in the divisional round, despite that being a major weakness for Buffalo. So they have to commit to their outside zone scheme that Peyton likes and kind of slow down the pass rush of New England. They don't even have to be super productive. They just got to prove they can do it to help Stidham out, right? And the last thing here, the last key to this game is just what is Sean Payton's game plan for Jarrett Stidham? Stidham hasn't started a football game since week 18 of 2023.
That's crazy.
I'm letting that breathe there. He's going to have the tallest task of any player on any of the 4 teams playing in this championship game, these championship games this weekend. If I'm Peyton, my message is, hey, you don't have to be a hero. We're okay with punts. We have a great defense. Let it rip with confidence when you see the field clearly. Don't forget that Sean Payton's first move as the head coach of the Denver Broncos was to sign Jarrett Stidham in free agency. It's the first thing they did. He doesn't need to be awesome for the Broncos to win this game. And the advantage they have is that the Patriots really have no idea what to prepare for because there's no film. No film of him. Right? There's one start from a couple years ago, and then there's the preseason games the last couple years. That's it. So, is Peyton going to run the ball more? Is he going to incorporate more play action? Does he go more max protection? Does he go 5-out stuff? I mean, I don't know. It all depends on what Stidham is probably comfortable with. And none of us know what that really looks like in a high leverage, high pressure situation. I expect Sean Payton to have his best week of prep and to give Stidham the best chance to be successful in this game. I do expect that.
He just got to be Nick Foles. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Just be Nick Foles. No problem. Legend in Philly for what he did. No problem. Easy task,
Took
brother.
over for Carson Wentz.
Jody, what do you like this weekend on this game if we're a gambling man?
If I were to bet, see now, I just took the easy answer because I would have taken the Broncos plus 5.5. I think.
Okay.
Like you said, Stidham, obviously he's a backup, but at the end of the day, I think the defense does enough to keep them alive. Okay. But on the other hand, I'm gonna say we're taking the under 41.5. Like I said, the defense is gonna have to carry, probably on both sides, to be honest. But the Broncos, especially, in order for them to win, they're gonna have to have some good defense and keep the Patriots at bay. So under 41.5 would be what I am taking there. Now for my prop bets, I did one for each team just because there's only 2 games. So four legger here. For this part, I have Stidham to throw over 0.5 passing touchdowns. I think he could get 1. You know what I mean? Throw a deep bomb somewhere. Get it done. Cortland Sutton or something. Who knows?
I don't hate that. I think Stiddy gets 1 done.
And then on the flip side, I have Drake May under 31.5 rushing yards. I think the Nick Benito gets after him enough to where the only way he's getting scramble yards is if, he has to pull some Caleb Williams stuff out. I don't know. So I don't think he's going to be having no design runs or nothing. So I think under there makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. Let's go to some of the film here to kind of talk about and further look at the big pieces of this game, right? The keys, right? Jody, can we see the screen well?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. So first play we're going to look at, we want to look at this championship defense the Patriots have been playing. All right. This is a 3rd and short, right? Number 1, they're going to stack the front. They're going to play a 6-man front here. They're going to press the corner. They've got 1 Mike backer sitting here, and then the safeties are near the line of scrimmage. We're playing championship football, like shut you down defense, right? We're going to watch the Texans are going to run outside zone to the tight end side over here. And let's just look at what happens on this play. Number 1, the Patriots recreate the line of scrimmage. They're going to create penetration, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, at the point of attack, their guys on the edge are just going to play tough. And the last thing that you see is like their DBs aren't afraid to get dirty and get in there and tackle, right? And that's one thing that, like, the Patriots are young in the secondary beyond the veteran that they signed, whose name I'm just completely blanking on, number 7 for them, has been around the league, played for Detroit last year, Tampa before that.
Mac
and
Hollins?
Nope. I'm just completely blanking on his name right now. But anyway, beyond number 7 in the secondary for the Patriots, everyone else is a young cat, right? They're like a rookie, they're 2nd-year player like Christian Gonzalez, right? Like they're young, but they've played really well and rose to the challenge. And look, the Texans create no push there. The Texans were never able to run the ball. That's why, like,
Hunter got smoked.
I mean, a lot of people will point to like the pick 6 or some of these other plays. I'm telling you, the reason those plays happen is because the Patriots are playing defense against the run like this. If you can't run the ball against that defense, you're going to struggle because they're doing all these different creative things in the secondary right now that are confusing quarterbacks. It confused Herbert, confused Stroud, and the likelihood of it confusing Stidham is high. I'm just going to tell you, and that's also why Sean Payton's got to run the ball. He's got to be able to, okay? Flip side of that, let's look at the Patriots offense, all right? We talked about them going against this super great Texans defense. Here we go in the red zone. Red zone is going to always be a difference maker in the playoffs, especially in this game where I expect both defenses to be very good, okay? So here's the first thing that Josh McDaniels does to help his young quarterback. We're going to motion Stephon Diggs across. And we know, okay, he's running with it. Makes it a really easy read to say, okay, this is man coverage, right? He's manned up there. He's manned up there. Yeah. He's manned up there. They're going to play one robber safety because it's really not one high because the field is so condensed. So there's a robber safety. And then, hey, we've got backers playing boys on the back, and one of them is going to play kind of the low hole underneath. So we've got essentially two robbers with a backer and a safety, and everyone else is manned up. Okay. Drake May knows that. Okay. So he knows I can't let the ball hang over the middle of the field, and I got to find my favorite matchup and get that guy the ball. Well, guess what? In the red zone for them, that's Stephon Diggs. Okay, so I get him in motion.
Hey,
I give him that advantage, right? He creates leverage. The back takes that linebacker to the flat, so he's gone. I look off this safety to make sure I keep my eyes in the middle of the field so he doesn't leave, and then I'm going to fit that throw into that window. And look how tight that window is. And also, major props for Diggs on the catch, dude. Hands catch, and he took the hit, and it didn't matter, and it's a touchdown. I mean, Drake May trusts his guy. He fits it in a window. Diggs makes the play for him.
That fool had a crazy celebration. I'll tell you that.
I did see it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was crazy. But that's a big boy throw right there. And again, was Drake May perfect? No. But all three of his touchdown passes were massive, and there were big balls throws. Like, dude just fit it in there, right?
Hey, also, real quick, I probably sounded so dumb right there. You were talking about the defense, and I threw out Mac Hollins. Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking. I wasn't going to say anything.
I wasn't. I had to bring it up because
like, man,
so dumb.
Mac Hollins playing the other side of the ball now. All right.
Saying.
All right, so let's go to the Broncos because we looked at the Patriots and some of the things that we like there. The Broncos, how we say they're going to keep themselves in the game on defense, it's doing this stuff right here. I mean, just watch the linebacker come through and just level James Cook and create a fumble, right? Again, watch this linebacker,
Singletary?
right? Singleton, yeah. Boom! Fights over the top, crushes him, punches the ball out. And that's not even the Broncos, right? Were not a high takeaway team during the regular season, but they were a really good defense that was solid in a lot of situations. And sometimes when the turnovers come, they come in bunches, right? And it's just because you're playing great football. This is not like a peanut punch or anything. This is just a solid form tackle, and I happen to get the ball out. And then the last part of it is Hufanga, right? Watch Hufanga get on this ball, right? He's right here in a great spot, right? Keeps working back to the play, ball's out, I get on the ball, right? And there's just a defense that plays with a ton of high energy and effort, so they're going to make these kind of plays from time to time, and they're going to need to make them on Sunday to win. Okay, on offense, here's one of the things that I wanted to highlight. They did not run the ball a ton or super efficiently against the Bills, but one of the plays that gives you hope that they can do this is right here. RJ Harvey, right? Little outside zone. Okay, we just watched the Patriots stuff this play. Look at what happens, though, with this Broncos O-line. And here's the thing. The Broncos O-line and the Texans O-line are two different beasts. And the Broncos O-line is very good. They have two all-pros for a reason. They're better in pass protection than they are in the run game, but they're still very good. And they can create these kind of creases for RJ Harvey to go get 12 yards. That's all they need to be able to do. This is it right here. They can do that, every few plays, right? Down to down.
And manageable.
They will help themselves tremendously. So that's a big thing there too. Okay, now the last piece of all of this to me is Jarrett Stidham, the Jarrett Stidham factor. Okay, so we're going to watch. This is a Jarrett Stidham throw from preseason this year against the Cardinals. All right, the thing you're going to notice, number one, he gets in his drop. Number two, no problem stepping up, avoiding the rush. And then three, he's going to buy the little time, and he throws it on the run, and it's a strike. Right? One thing you'll notice about Stidham, has a live arm. He's not afraid to rip it, and he does a great job on intermediate throws because of that. And you also notice he's not Bo Nix in terms of mobility. Right? They're not going to have quarterback run game. They're not going to have some of the stuff they're able to do with Bo. But like the way that he stepped up and extended that play, that's what you want to see from your quarterback, right?
That's true.
Another play, preseason against the 49ers this year. Okay. Gets in his drop, feels the pass rush, steps up at the top, and he rips it. Rips an out route. Telling you, this guy has a live arm, and he rips intermediate throws in the middle of the field or outside the numbers. Great throw on time. It's one, if you leave it hanging, the safety can make a play. Does not do that. Also love his timing, right? 1, 2, 3, back foot, step up, get it out, right? timing in a Sean Payton offense is obviously very important. He's able to do those things. Okay, last one. This is his start from 2023, right, against the Raiders. And again, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, step up, get the ball out, rips it over the middle of the field or over the top, layers it a little bit. This is to Jerry Jeudy, right? When they had him on the team. But again, does a great job of feeling rush, stepping up into the pocket, layers a throw over the underneath coverage to Jerry Jeudy, and it's a big play. All right. This guy is a guy who, we started for the Raiders the year before against that 2022 version of the 49ers defense that was very good. Threw for 3 touchdowns, like 300 yards. In this start against the Raiders for the Broncos, he had a very good start. So, I don't think Jarrett Stidham is the kind of guy that's going to shy away from this moment and be awful. I think he's going to be prepared. I think Sean Payton's going to be prepared. And I think this is why, when people are like, man, do the Broncos have a chance? Yeah, they got a chance, man. They got a real chance in this game, just as good a chance as the Patriots do. And obviously, if you're the Patriots, you feel like you should win it because you have your starting quarterback. But, man, if you're the Broncos, I think you got a little chip on your shoulder going into this game, and it should not be a foregone conclusion that the Patriots are going to win it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I got my score prediction for this game. I'm sitting at Patriots 17, Broncos 18. Now 18 comes with a lot of field goals. I kind of think that's kind of all he has to really do. Get on the other side of the field, get close enough for them to kick a field goal. Let Will Lutz handle that. It's not gonna be pretty, but you let defense run wild, do enough on offense to score some points, and at the end of the day, you might win. You got a young quarterback you're going up against with a pretty tough D. Never know.
You don't sound like ultra confident in your pick. I feel like you're picking the Broncos out of some love here.
No, I think it's more out of hate for the Patriots as it is love for the Broncos. I don't want to see the Patriots fans come out of the woodworks again. It's not going to be fun.
Oh, okay, all right. I will say this version of the Pats, though, I like Vrabel and I like Drake May, so it's kind of hard.
Different, but it's the fans are different than the team.
Fair enough. All right, so for me, I've got Patriots 20, Broncos 15. Similar as far as low scoring, the way you see it. I think Stidham accommodates himself very well enough that the Broncos stay in it at home. It lets their crowd, the defense, to kind of carry them through most of this game. However, I think Drake May makes just enough plays to win the game on the road. I think both defenses largely dominate. I think we see 5+ punts for both teams. I'm with you. I think the Broncos kick a bunch of field goals. Maybe they get in the end zone one time. I think the Patriots are able to get in the end zone once or twice. I think their defense gives them great field position one time, right, where they can capitalize and get a red zone touchdown, maybe some field goals in between that. But yeah, I've got Patriots 20, Broncos 15. I think it's going to be a better game than people expect, but while also being a bit of a snooze fest in terms of people love seeing points scored. I don't think we're going to see a ton of that here.
A lot of defense.
All right. NFC Championship game, Jody. Set the stage for us.
So we got the Rams visiting the Seahawks again this season. It starts at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. We got Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady on the call. Spread sits at -2.5 for the Seahawks. Over-unders at 47.5. Look like the weather's going to be 45 degrees with 45% chance of rain with slight winds, which I kind of feel like it's always windy out there, to be honest.
Yeah. All things considered, not bad weather for this game. If you're a Ram, probably looking forward to it versus what you just played in Chicago. So
yeah, 45 is going to feel hot.
Yeah. Major keys to this game. All right, number one, the Rams pass protection versus the Seahawks pass rush. All right, it's the biggest thing in this game in my mind. It's no secret that Matthew Stafford, at his age, is not in position to extend a ton of plays and avoid sacks at an elite rate like he was once able to, right? So thus, the Rams' protection is a premium need for this offense to operate at an elite level. The elite level we know it's capable at operating at. And when they've kept Stafford clean this season, he's delivered in an MVP type of way. Against the Bears, he was sacked 4 times and under pressure all night. The Bears sent pressures and extra defenders a lot of the night, which paid off for them in a major way. This really contributed to a subpar effort from Stafford. He was 6 for 15 for 105 yards and was sacked twice when Chicago sent blitzes versus the Rams passing. Seattle ranks top 5 in both pressure rate and sacks this season with a 40% pressure rate and 47 sacks. McDonald, though, he only sends extra blitzers at like a 19% clip, which ranked 31st in the NFL. So I do wonder if he changes that trend against the Rams, given what we saw the Bears were able to do, right? Additionally, the Seahawks don't have a sack on Stafford yet in the 2 games this year. And they have not come close to their normal pressure rate against the Rams and Stafford outside of a chunk of the game when they came back to win in Seattle, right? So in a rubber match, in a game like this where you know it's game 3 and you're looking for all these new advantages because you know the other team kind of knows your tendencies, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if Seattle explores adding some blitzes to get more pressure. If you go back and you look, and I got to say, NFL Pro, man, NFL Plus is really upgraded this year in the way that you can sort some of the all-22 film. It'll break it down with like, you want to watch all the Stafford versus blitz against Seattle. It'll break it down. It's really like working out a huddle for me at this point, which I love. So you can really break it down that way. But so in week 11, watched all the Stafford versus pressures there. He was 6 for 12, 36 yards, but 2 touchdowns against the blitz there. So big, 2 big plays were touchdowns for him, even though there wasn't a ton of yardage there. In week 16, Stafford was 8 for 13, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. He burned him in week 16 when they blitzed him. So this could be the interesting wrinkle, right, in rubber matchup, number 1D versus number 1O. And if you're the Rams, obviously you got to pick up the pressures. One of the things I'll say is in week 11, the Rams had Rob Havenstein starting at right tackle, and he was kind of beat up. Week 16, but they also had Kevin Dotson in that matchup. Week 16, they had Warren McClendon, who's now their current starting right tackle, a little bit more athletic and mobile than Havenstein, and that helped them some there, even though they lost Dotson at that game, and they didn't have Devontae Adams in that game, right? So there's some differences in some of the personnel up front for the Rams from when they played them week 11, week 16 to now. So that'll be interesting to watch. Number 2, the Seahawks' ability to run the ball versus the Rams' run defense. Seattle couldn't run the ball at all in the early part of the season, right? If you look back weeks 1 through 9, they ran for 831 yards on 226 attempts. That was only 3.68 yards per carry and a rushing success rate of 38%. During that time, Darnold was playing great football and kind of able to overcome that lack of a running game. That kind of changed right around week 11, the first time they played the Rams, and he threw 4 picks. So the good news, though, for the Seahawks is they've had 4 of their 5 best rushing performances of the season in weeks 16 through 18 and the divisional round. So they've just started to run the ball really well here. They're averaging 172 rushing yards per game, 5.5 yards per carry in that period. And they've had a rushing success rate of nearly 43%. So this is kind of accounted for maybe some of the step back that Sam Darnold has taken and some of his regression and given Seattle an identity that truthfully more matches what they're doing on defense and what they've, those awesome performances they've had. It's also unlocked their play action pass game, which Kubiak wants to live in. And meanwhile, the Rams defense is coming off a performance that saw them hold the Bears running backs to 3.68 yards per carry. They only allowed 2 explosive runs, and they were constantly winning, as we said, in those goal line and short yardage situations. Poona Ford, Nate Landman have made a heck of a difference for the Rams defense this year. They showed up against a really good Bears rushing offense, an offense that had a 45% rushing success rate, which was 7th in the NFL going into that game. So the big question for both teams when Seattle is on offense is, Will they be able to run the ball with some success? Because truthfully, we've seen the Rams will get pressure on Darnold in must-pass situations. And so if you're Seattle, you got to stay out of those as much as you can. You want to be able to run play action. You want to be able to rely on Kenneth Walker, right? And that's what they were able to do last week against San Francisco. So you want to be able to do that again. Can they replicate that against a much better Rams run defense? That's going to be a big thing. And the last major key here, who's going to start fast and dictate the game script? Teams that score first in these NFL playoffs right now are 9-1 because they can control the game, right?
Yeah.
The only loser is the Packers. The Packers scored first against the Bears. That's the only team that lost this year in the playoffs.
Which is crazy.
Last week,
being up.
It was crazy. It took a crazy, right? It took a crazy chaotic comeback.
Yeah.
Last week against the Niners, the Seahawks opened with a bang. They got the 12s rolling. They made their home field advantage and opportunities for an onslaught much higher. The Rams started their game with a 4th down stop and a 14-play touchdown drive. That quieted the crowd in Chicago. So they both had perfect starts. This allowed both of them to control the advantage that, or for the Rams anyway, it controlled the advantage the Bears had playing at home, despite not playing their best offense in those elements. So in both these regular season matchups, the home team scored first and won the game. I think both of these teams would prefer to play with a lead so they can truly call the game with their full playbook available against the defense they're playing. For Seattle, getting the lead gets their crowd in it. It protects Darnold, and it allows their defense to dictate the terms to the Rams offense. For the Rams, getting that lead negates some of that Seattle home field advantage. It's going to put pressure on Sam Darnold, and it's going to give Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford the ability to mix all the personnels, all the looks they want to, right?
Yep.
This isn't to say that neither team can play from behind. We've seen both of them be able to do it. Obviously, the Seahawks can. They did it and came back and won. We know what Stafford and McVay are comfortable doing, capable of doing. So, but I think both teams will feel great if they get that early lead. Both head coaches would love to control the script and allow that to infer like some of their 4th down decisions, the play calling, the timeout usage, right? All of that matters when you have a lead versus when you're behind. And we saw all of those things dictate a lot of the first 2 matchups. So that's going to be really important here. And the last little kind of bonus piece is just special teams, man. Seattle has a massive, and when I say massive, all caps, massive advantage here that could ultimately swing the game, right? A punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Changed the last game. We saw Seattle open the divisional round with a touchdown on special teams. Be on high alert for that. What do you like from a gambling standpoint here, Jody?
Well, for stars again, I think we both like the Rams against the spread. But for me, I'm taking 47.5. I kind of think, I think both the last times they played during the season was a shootout. Maybe we see some more defense this time around, but I kind of think you need probably around 30 to win the game, regardless of which side it is. So I think we're going to get over 47.5 in this game. In terms of the prop bet, I figured Kyren for a touchdown. Kind of makes sense. Whether it's running or receiving, he's probably going to be one of the dudes to get it done. And then on the flip side, also real quick before I say this, what happened to this man's oblique? It's good all of a sudden? We don't got no news about it no more?
He did not participate in yesterday's practice, or he was limited.
There we go. That's the news we need. I got Sam Darnold throwing a pick in this game. The last time it didn't hit. I think this time it's definitely going to play a factor regardless. Just because
he has thrown 6 in the 2 matchups with the Rams. So
yeah, that's true.
So that would indicate you are possibly on something there.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look at some film here. All right. First thing we want to look at is what the Rams were able to do on defense against the Bears that was so effective, right? There's been a lot of talk about the Rams defense. Can we see, Jody?
Yeah, we're up.
Been a lot of talk about their defense up until this game that they had regressed. I think a good chunk of that was Quentin Lake being out and struggling a little bit in some of their secondary matchups. They played very well in this game against the Bears. All right, so first play we're going to look at is essentially what was the game-winning play for the Rams on defense, the interception of Caleb Williams in overtime. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice, the Bears are in an empty set, right? Yep. They've got receiver, tight end on the bottom of the screen in the boundary. They've got two receivers and a running back at the top of the screen to the field. Okay, the Rams are going to show kind of this too high shell, which Chula likes to do. All right, but you're going to see kind of as this play goes how they evolve. So they're going to motion the back kind of in, almost into a bunch here. All right. It's kind of on the hip of the tackle. So is the tight end. They're almost on the hips there.
Yeah.
Now, first thing I want you to look at is Cam Curl at the top of the screen. He's showing out the half field. He's going to rotate to the middle of the field, right? The corner at the top is clearly playing a third. The safety, Quentin Lake, the nickel player, is playing to the flat. And the backer to that side is playing a hook. So they're playing cover 3 to the field. Now, we kind of rewind this and go back to the beginning. You look at the bottom of the screen, and you're going to say, okay, so the top of the screen is showing cover 3. The bottom of the screen is showing press man. So what are the Rams doing? All right, well, the likelihood is they're playing cover 3, but they said, hey, we're going to press into the boundary with this kind of cluster. We're going to press Darius Williams here, and we're going to play with our linebacker and our safety in and out on Cole Kmet. So we're going to have a hook defender, and we're going to have a flat defender, and we're just going to press our cover 3 corner and just take that away right now. So it's cover 3 with a little bit of a man adjustment backside, and you can see Cam Kitchens, the safety, is going to drive Cole Kmet to the flat. Darius Williams is playing the receiver one-on-one. We've got a flat defender, a hook defender, cover 3 player, and a middle of the field player. The Bears actually have a decent concept on here, right? They're going to run a little layered concept where they've got Rome Odunze, the inside receiver, is running the vertical, and then DJ Moore, the outside receiver, is running the over route in behind him. You'll notice he gets enough depth that he is deeper than the backers can sink to, the hook defenders, right?
Yeah.
So now look at Cam Curl in the freeze frame. He's pointing to Kobe Durant, the corner. Yeah. You take Odunze on the vertical. I'm going to cut off the over route. He talked about this after the game that, their passing game coordinator on defense, Aubrey Pleasant, this was a look they had worked in practice, and he knew what was coming because they had worked it so much and watched film. So where film study shows up, right? So he takes the angle, cuts off DJ Moore, and you can see Caleb Williams is already letting this ball go. Yeah. When he lets it go, it looks like DJ Moore has the step, and that vertical route is going to clear out Cam Curl. And you're going to see DJ Moore feel like he's going to be open across the field. But Cam Curl steps in front of it, picks it off. Big play for the Rams, right? And so the disguise, going too high to one high, keeping a man coverage player on the backside, like all of that contributes to what ends up, and then the film study contributes to what ends up being a game-saving play for the Rams.
Wait, can you go back to that freeze frame real quick? Tell me why that left tackle is sitting a full 2 yards off the ball.
All he has to do is break the belt line of the center. I don't think
he's on that, bro.
It's close. They give you the referees, they're not calling that a lot, man. I mean, it is what it is. All right, next play. Goal line defense for the Rams here. Key situation, they were winning all night. Red zone defense in the playoffs is so important. You can give up yards, but if you don't give up points, you're likely going to win playoff games, right? So here you go, Rams, red zone situation. All right, so we're going to watch this. This is 3rd and goal. Not on the game tying drive for the Bears, but the drive before it where they failed to tie the game, right? You see the Rams obviously showing a heavy front. They've got one backer sitting back here. Everyone else playing man coverage. Press man. We are not giving you any room to breathe. Okay, we're going to motion the tight end in to down block or blindside block, basically. This backer, right? Yes, we're going to pull somebody on this edge. Number 74, onside guard's going to pull. Rome Odunze is supposed to crack as well. Now, first thing you got to see is Jared Verse. Look at him win the matchup versus the puller, right? He makes it so that Swift can't go inside. It's got to bounce. And then he's good enough that on the bounce, he gets there. Does he make the tackle? No. But he slows him up just enough where Darius Williams, now the corner, we talked about corners coming up and tackling.
Bro.
He comes up, right, and challenges Swift. And Swift says, okay, I'm going to try and jump over you. He gets just a piece of him, and now it's Quentin Lake on pursuit. Boom. Knock him over. And that, my friends, is how you play defensive football, especially in the goal line. That's 3 different guys for the Rams doing their freaking job and doing it so well that even with a great play design by Ben Johnson and what you think should be an advantage here turns into a nothing play. Hey, guess what? Now you got 4th and goal. What are you going to do, Bears? All right, let's go to the next play. 4th and goal. Now the Bears know, man, we've run it 3 straight times. We can't get in the end zone, run the ball. We got to throw it. So now the Rams know that. They can say, we'll rush 4 and we're going to play coverage with 7 guys. And we're going to flood these zones with 7 guys when you only have 12 yards to work with. And we can play ultra aggressive on things. Now watch this. Linebackers communicating. Love linebackers communicating and pass defense, man, because it's really a thing of beauty because those guys, this is not what they're like paid to do, right? But they when they do it at a high level, your defense, especially in the red zone, is so much better. So they pass these off. Look at these routes. They pass off the bunch concepts. Hey, Quentin Lake's taking this guy to the flat. He's sinking underneath this route if it becomes a vertical. He's playing inside of it. He's sitting here on number 10, outside leverage. He's saying, okay, I see number 2, DJ Moore, crossing my face. I can play that one, but I also know I got Cam Kitchens sitting across the field who will come up and play it. I'm passing it off. I'm making 10 look like he's open, but now when Caleb Williams throws that one, I'm going to break, and me and Nate Landman are almost going to run into each other fighting for the ball because we can both make a play on it, right? Great defense by the Rams. Unbelievable. Really enjoyed watching the way Shula's defense communicated and rallied to the football and tackles. They missed some tackles in this game, but it didn't matter because dudes got to the ball. And, man, that's a staple of great defense. Speaking of staples of great defense, I want to watch the flip side. This Seahawks defense playing at an elite level right now. We're going to watch them against the Niners last week. Similar situation to what we just showed you with the Rams 2 plays before, where it's a goal line situation, short yardage situation. Hey, the Niners have 3rd and 1 here. Seahawks 1, they're going to take away A gap and B gaps right now. And they're going to say, good luck, run into the C gap. We've got this stud nickel, Nick Imanwari, that sits out here and dominates tight ends. We've got another dude sitting on this edge that's going to dominate you too. And we've got Ernest Jones sitting in the middle of the defense who's just going to fly around and make plays. All right, watch this thing, man. Watch Leonard Williams collapses this. That's the first thing. Leonard Williams takes on a double team and just collapses it. Now Nick Imanwari, he's going to take on the puller, and he's going to collapse that too, right? And so now what does Christian McCaffrey do? This play is designed to go front side. This is power, right? Coming front side. And McCaffrey's like, no, I want no part of that because of Leonard Williams, Nick Imanwari, like all those dudes sitting there. I want no part of that. So I'm going to cut it backside. And now gap discipline backside, guys beat blocks and make plays there too. There's nowhere for him to go, right? He can't stay patient front side because he sees all this action. He cuts it backside, and guys are still making the play backside. This Seahawks front is playing as good as any front in football right now. And that's including the Texans. Right? They're playing elite football. They're stopping the run. They're putting you in pass situations. They're able to rush the passer with 4. They can occasionally send a 5th blitzer. I mean, they're doing a lot of things really well here, this being one of them. Okay, here's another situation. It's a clear passing situation for the Niners, okay? Watch the communication by Ernest Jones, the movement here. Okay? Hey, we're gonna try and spread you out. We're gonna do the little running back short motion with McCaffrey, but then we're gonna motion him across. We're gonna give you all this eye candy. I'm gonna look him off, and now I just want to get to the tight end here on the little whip route. But then look at Ernest Jones, man. Communicates it well, gets to the football out. And because you have the Seahawks defense that has a bunch of dudes who rally and tackle to the ball, like I just talked about with the Rams, good things happen, right? The best defenses, they get to the football and they tackle well, right? And then, they give you that extra and they get the ball out. And now you're forcing a turnover. Again, watch Ernest Jones on this play. Okay, I'm going to move my feet with Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to settle myself over here because I know, okay, now he's coming back. I'm going to move there. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to get my drop. I see the throw. I'm going to break, and I'm going to get the ball out. That's an all-pro linebacker right now. That's how he's playing. Stafford said something in the media this week about Ernest Jones. It was not just lip service. This dude is playing at an all-pro level, and that's a great example of it. Okay, last play here for the Seahawks defense. Another big one. At this point in the game, the Niners are down 2 or 3 scores. They got to get points. Okay, they're going to go play action pass. If you look at the Seahawks defense, they're going to start in a 2-high shell. Common thing with the NFL right now. Everyone's playing 2-high shells. They're playing quarters. All right, so they're going to play cover 4. Check out these safeties and how well they're communicating with each other. Okay, because in quarters, right now, they don't have vertical threats. This guy's going to the flat. Both number 1 receivers are going vertical. So if you get both receivers going vertical, or number 1 receivers going vertical with no number 2 vertical threat, you're going to double the number 1 receivers. But check out how they do it. The safeties say, I'm going to play with leverage. So this is a crossing route. I'm going to play this one, and I'm going to play this one. So we're not chasing. We're playing with leverage. And check out how they just – it's covered. There's nowhere for Darnold to go. So now he's like, shoot, that's covered. It's doubled. That's covered. It's doubled. I've got to the flat. I've got Imam Wari just waiting for me to throw it. McCaffrey, my check down. There's a backer sitting right there. Okay, hey, here's this guy over the middle. That backer's kind of deep. I can probably make that throw, right? Now I've got pressure coming free. I got to make a quick decision. I got to reset my feet because I couldn't just sit and throw. So now I'm throwing it kind of late. And now, once again, linebacker playing at an elite level ends up with an interception. Again, Ernest Jones, dude. This dude is a baller. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He hates the Rams because they traded him for a bag of peanuts a couple years ago. And he wants this game. Dude's playing electric football right now. It's part of why that Ernest Jones and Nick Imamwari, their ability to play in the box and play run, but then also play pass as the linebacker and the nickel are why this defense is so freaking good. All right. So then we kind of finish this with key matchups or key plays from the previous matchups, all right? This is what happens when the Rams generate pressure on Darnold. This is week 11 when they've made him throw 4 picks, okay? First thing you notice, look at the pressure right in his lap. What does he have to do? Now he's throwing a fadeaway jumper, and look who's free in the middle of the field, right? The Rams are playing a version of cover 1 robber, right, where they've got a 1-high safety. It's man everywhere else. And now here is Cam Kitchens sitting in a robber position, and check out what he's going to go do. Pick that thing off and almost take it for 6. And a big reason why that happens is because Darnold didn't get the mustard on the throw. He needed to get it in there because the Rams got pressure, so now he shoots a fadeaway jump shot. Now, compare that with week 16. This is during the comeback in the 4th quarter. Look at the pocket in front of him. It is clean. Yeah, no one rushing him. If you give Sam Darnold a clean pocket, he's going to find guys. And JSN's good enough, he's going to break free. Now that's a big play for them. The Rams have to create pressure. If they don't, Darnold will pick them apart. He's good enough to do that, right? If you create pressure and he's throwing fadeaway jumpers, yeah, it's not good for the Seahawks. But if you give him a clean pocket, it's going to be a lot better day for him, all right? Now, let's look at the Rams on offense versus that Seattle defense. Okay, we're going to look at Seattle. We talked about Seattle sending extra, right? Sending blitzers. Here you go. They send blitzers here. Look at the Rams' protection, though. The back picks it up. O-line communicates it well. Boom. You've got it. You've got it picked up. When Seattle sends 5, they're playing some version of a fire zone, right? 5-man pressure, 6 guys in the not the protection, but the coverage, right? This version of their fire zone, they're going to play 2 deep, 4 under fire zone, right? Now, because of the way this backer and the leverage he has, he doesn't drop far enough this way to the field. Ends up basically being one-on-one with Puka Nacua and a flat-footed safety. How do you think that's going to go? Hoops mixtape. Stafford put it on him. This is nearly a touchdown. It goes down at like the 4-yard line, right? But again, it all starts with the protection up front to give Stafford the time to step and throw. Puka is going to win that one-on-one battle every time. They miss a tackle. Puka becomes a running back in the open field, and now it's a big, big gain. Compare that with Week 11. Again, Seahawks are going to send extra. This time, they're playing 3 under 3 deep fire zone, right? Cover 3, basically. One high safety, thirds corner, flat, hook, flat, right? So you got 3 under 3 deep here. But look what happens. I told you this was when Havenstein was playing right tackle. Look what happens. It's really not the blitz that gets him. It's the one-on-one loss to DeMarcus Lawrence by Havenstein that forces Stafford to bail right away. And he's basically just throwing this thing away because he knows he's got pressure in his face. It's also covered up on this side with Devontae Adams. If you look to the field, his hot read, Parkinson, was there right away. And if he gets time, Jordan Whittington's going to break over the middle of the field and have a wide open seam right here, just like the play we just watched to Puka. So the difference between Week 11 and Week 16 for the Rams against this defense, they did a better job of identifying picking up pressures than they did in Week 11. The opposite was true for the Seahawks, right? Or the same was true for the Seahawks. That's why we saw more points in both games for both these teams, or for both these teams in Week 16 than we did in Week 11. All right, so those are the things we're going to be looking for in this game. I could not be more excited to watch this one specifically because of the matchup. Obviously, as a Rams fan, I want this game. I want to beat Seattle. I want to avenge Week 16, all of that stuff. But just from the matchup, just from the football mind of Mike McDonald versus Sean McVay, I'm thrilled to watch it.
Hey, how many timeouts do we get called for not getting a delay game in this game?
I'm going to say Sean McVay burns one early in the first quarter because the Seattle crowd is just crazy, right? Yeah. They're just jacked up. I'm going to say just one. The Rams burn one early, and I think the Seahawks, because they're at home, don't end up burning one. So let's say one total between both teams. Ooh. What you got?
I was thinking like 3. Probably like 1.
I hope not, because if it's 3, it's probably at least 2 by the Rams. You can't afford that in a game that might be this close.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, anyways, the dumb question, considering we've talked about it in the past couple weeks. My prediction for this game, I got the Rams 30, Seahawks 28 over that 47.5 number we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. Way over.
It's got to be a close one again. You know what I mean? It's been like that. What we had. Did we avoid overtime last time, or did they make it overtime? I don't remember.
Week 16, Seattle won 38-37 in OT.
Okay.
Week 11, the Rams won 21-19 with a missed 61-yard field goal by Seattle.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be very similar to that last game in the end of the season. Just slinging the rock area. That's what they did, and it was also in Seattle, so that makes sense too. Don't, like you said, the 12th man is going to be a huge factor. If the Rams could get hot early, it won't be nearly as much, but it'll come back eventually just because that's the way they are. So we'll see how it goes.
I've got Rams 28, Seahawks 27. As close as it can be. The teams were separated by 1 point and 1 yard in the regular season. I'm sure everyone's seen that, stat and fact by now. I think the Rams score first off of a Sam Darnold turnover. I think Seattle special teams make some plays and they eventually go up, 27-21 in the fourth quarter. And Stafford leads a touchdown drive by the Rams to get to 28-27. And the Rams defense has to get one stop to win it. And they do. And it's an instant classic. It's one of those ones we'll watch forever. I think it's one of those kinds of games.
Gets that touchdown.
I think it's going to be a grinded out kind of game. The Rams are not going to look pretty on offense at times because Seattle's defense is so good. I also think Seattle's defense won't look as pretty at times because the Rams defense is playing better. But I think Seattle's special teams helps them a lot in this game. And then, like I said, I think the Rams get that early turnover to get them the lead and kind of be able to control some of the game script as we go and keep the Seattle crowd from taking over and that Seattle defense from taking over, keep themselves in the game long enough to then go get the game-winning drive with Stafford and Puka and Devontae at the end there.
Did we want to talk who we have for the Super Bowl after, or what we
Yeah, I've got a rematch of what is it, Super Bowl
2016 or something?
It was the 2019 Super Bowl after the 2018 season. I can't remember which one that was. Maybe 53, but Rams, Patriots. I've got a rematch. It's actually the third time that matchup will have happened.
2002.
Would not mind that one. You'd get a lot of great storylines out of that. It's Drake May versus Matthew Stafford. You'll find out a few days before the game who actually won the MVP.
Yeah, true.
So the loser, has a chip on their shoulder and all that stuff. It's Mike Vrabel versus Sean McVay.
Yeah.
It's Josh McDaniel versus Chris Shula, two of the best assistants in the league right now. It's, can the Rams overcome the demons of losing to the Pats two previous times? And I believe in both of those previous Super Bowls, I know the first one, I think the second one, they were favored both times and lost to the Patriots. And so can they kind of overcome that? And I also think the way the Pats D is playing versus the way the Rams could play, it would be a great matchup. So I got Rams Patriots.
I was gonna say we also didn't mention it's a Mike versus Sean Bowl this weekend for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the Mike and Sean in the Super Bowl, and I got Sean on Sean with the Rams versus Broncos.
Well, that's what we got. Enjoy the football this weekend. This is the last weekend where we get multiple games. After this, all we got looking forward to is the Super Bowl. Stay warm, stay dry, stay out of the snow, stay out of the ice. Be safe. And last but not least, here we got the banger of the week. Before we get out of here, I've got a TV show for you, Jody.
Oh, what'd you watch?
All right, so Jill and I heard about this show on Netflix. We're like, give it a shot. It's called His and Hers.
I've heard people talking about that too.
The whole time you're kind of like, okay, like I called some of the stuff, right? Like as it's going in the last episode, second to last episode, I was like, oh, this person is this person. And it was like, oh, cool, I called that. And then you're like, oh, it makes sense. But then you're watching it. And the last episode, some things happen where you're like, okay, that made sense, but also like not like 100%. And it's not till the last 10 minutes that you get the real answer. Oh. And honestly, never in a million years did I see like the final reveal coming. Yeah. I feel like the show was like written specifically to be like, this is how we're going to just smoke people. It's nice. It's 6 episodes. It's only like 40-minute episodes. It's clean. It happens quick. You can watch it in like 2 days and be done. If you really want to power through, you could probably do it in 1 day and knock it out. Really good, though. Like twist, I never saw. Like I said, called some things, but not like the thing. That never saw it coming. So if you're looking for a show, looking for something to kill time this weekend, you're stuck inside with the snow, His and Hers.
There you go. Yeah, I'll give you my show I watched this week too. Then I talked about it in the past, the first season. So the second season came out. I don't know, but I just got around to watching it. I was watching Twisted Metal, the second season.
Oh yeah, I do remember you telling me about this.
And so the second season, a little different. It's like they kind of got it injected now. It's more geared to like the actual game that you play on like PlayStation than like just like creating like character development and stuff. And then there's like 2 or 3 different crazy twists in like the last 2 episodes that I was like, dang, this is crazy. It just like blew my mind. And it looks like there's gonna be another season the way it ended. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I watched that whole thing in the last like 2 days. So those are 30 minutes. I think there was 10 episodes.
Nice. All right, man. Well, the next time you guys hear us on this pod, we're going to be breaking down who's in the Super Bowl and why. Probably be talking more coach hirings. I would hope not any more firings at this point.
That'd be bad.
And then, we'll start talking Super Bowl. So enjoy the football this weekend. Stay safe, stay warm. And with that, we got our guy.
Ray, taking us out.